And good evening and welcome in. I'm Mark Mullins. Tonight, we begin with a closer look at an effort to combat Indiana's growing infant mortality rate. Doctors say there are endless possibilities for what can go wrong for a pregnant mother and her baby during delivery. RTV6's Stephanie Wade shows us how one hospital in our area is training their nurses to know what to do in these scary situations, situations they say are happening more often.
Does she have a pulse?
No pulse.
All right, let's start chest compressions.
Get it backward.
That patient you see on the hospital bed there is just a mannequin,
right?
But a high-tech one.
You can check for a pulse on her. She will actually push out a baby.
Nurses at Franciscan Health are using it to simulate real-life emergencies that occur when a pregnant woman goes into cardiac arrest.
We can go ahead and give another dose of epi.
1 milligram. Yep, 1 milligrams in.
One nurse gave the patient CPR while they prepared to perform a C-section.
Our laborist is coming.
The simulation went so far as to deliver a little mannequin baby that can breathe and cry too.
All right, right back on the chest. It looks like mom coded. She lost some blood. He came out pale.
Then they tended to the newborn who had issues of his own.
We try to make it as realistic as possible, so real complications that occur frequently in OB care.
Why this training is so important: Indiana ranks 43rd in infant mortality. Even worse, it ranks 46th in maternal mortality. That's double the national average.
We really felt compelled to try to make a difference and make an impact.
Lori Hardy, the simulation coordinator for Franciscan, says there are a host of factors impacting why we're losing so many mothers and babies during delivery emergencies.
Women are waiting until they are older to have babies. The opioid epidemic is a piece of that, and then the obesity crisis.
Plus, more women are using artificial technology to become pregnant than in the past. But perhaps the biggest issue?
It used to be very rare to see moms come in addicted. It's very common now.
Drugs. For instance, cocaine abuse can lead to what's called a placental abruption.
And basically the baby just bleeds out.
Thanks to this program.
We had several instances where people would come to class and then actually put that training to use within their next shift.
Staff are being armed with the skills to prevent any baby or any mother from dying under their watch. Stephanie Wade, RTV6.
Well, the health and safety of your child is one of the most important things. And if you ever think their health is in danger and you can't get help, you can contact us. Email us at workingforyou@rtv6.com. New developments here at 5. An Indiana judge and 2 other men are now officially charged in connection to the shooting outside of a White Castle in downtown Indianapolis back in May. The Marion County Prosecutor's Office announced the official charges during a news conference today. Prosecutor Terry Curry laid out the charges against Clark Circuit Judge Andrew Adams and the 2 others involved in the altercation, Alfredo Vasquez and Brendan Kaiser. Adams and Vasquez are both facing 7 counts, including battery and disorderly conduct. Kaiser is facing 14 counts, including aggravated battery, disorderly conduct, and carrying a handgun without a license. Clark Circuit Court judges Brad Jacobs and Adams were shot and wounded in the early morning hours of May 1st in the White Castle parking lot not far from Lucas Oil Stadium. The judges were in town for a judicial conference. The prosecutor talks about the investigation into this unique case involving 2 judges.
Individuals who were involved are obviously sitting judges, they're fellow lawyers, but Chief Bill is exactly right. If we look at any situation, we have to view it just like we would every single situation if we're doing our job appropriately.
Curry said the grand jury was convened to determine what charges would be filed. The same grand jury chose not to indict Judge Jacobs in connection with the shooting and fight. Police say the 2 judges had visited several downtown restaurants and bars in the hours leading up to the shooting. Around 3 in the morning, police say the group tried to go into a bar, but it was closed, so they went to the nearby White Castle on South Street. Adams and Jacobs were shot after an altercation with another group. This afternoon, the Indiana Supreme Court said the Indiana Commission on Judicial Qualifications, which investigates allegations of judicial misconduct, has filed a motion to suspend Judge Adams with pay following his indictment. Moving to our Storm Team 6 forecast now. It is a beautiful evening across central Indiana, but all eyes are on the thermometer. And Kevin says we may need to take a glance at the radar occasionally as we move into the weekend. So, Kevin, it is Friday and many of us have outdoor plans. So what can we expect as we head on into the weekend?
Well, temperatures will be the story. They'll be close to 90 degrees the next several days. Go ahead and just take the computer full screen. There you go. 87. We're working on it. We have not hit 90 so far today. As you look out across the horizon, hardly a cloud in the sky. We've had some high, thin clouds move in from the west. There are thunderstorms in Illinois. They're unlikely to reach central Indiana. And that's the case really till we get to Sunday afternoon with some isolated thunderstorms. See all of this? Heavy rainfall just northwest of St. Louis towards Springfield, Illinois. Not likely to reach the Hoosier State. 87 in Indianapolis right now. 90 in Peru. Muncie running a little warm at 93, 90 in Columbus. You factor in the humidity and it feels 90 degrees or warmer. 93 the heat index in Terre Haute and Bloomington. If you're not comfortable with the heat and humidity, you'll have more time to get comfortable because we'll repeat this over and over until early next week. Temperature still very warm at 10 o'clock tonight, 79 degrees.
Metro Police need help finding whoever is behind the shooting death of a teenage boy. Someone shot through a South Side house Tuesday, and that shooting happened on the 1700 block of South Talbot Street. Emergency crews rushed the teen to Eskenazi Hospital in critical condition on Tuesday. Today we learned the boy had died. His identity has not been released. If you have any information about the deadly shooting, call Crime Stoppers at 317-262-TIPS. You can remain anonymous. We've been digging into the issue surrounding food deserts in our viewing area, and tonight we are looking at the shortage of stores on Indianapolis's Far East Side. There is a small program aiming to help turn things around, producing the next generation of farmers and fresh fruits and vegetables. On his last day at RTV6, Derek Thomas shows you how this is making a difference.
We have cucumbers and green onions.
12-year-old Jackson Petty and his friend 14-year-old Taj Darby are pulling weeds that tend to stifle the growth of their crops. It is a bold new adventure for the youngsters, but they are committed to the soil this summer.
I put my heart and soul to farming, and it's actually pretty fun because you have a lot of help.
Well, what's so good about it?
Well, mostly just planting everything one by one.
It looks kind of cool. I mean, it just kind of comes out and just unfolds into vegetables and fruits. It's just interesting.
These next generation farmers have already harvested some vegetables and fruit this year. They sell it on site.
$1 for ginger. That is phenomenal. Guys, this looks so good and so healthy.
So they learned how to do inventory in the morning, count their register down, and then, of course, they learned sales techniques, pitches, how to, they learned the health benefits of the food that they grow.
The farm is in the 9200 block of East 46th Street. Kids work here for 5 weeks and are paid $50 a week. Jackson is saving up to buy some form of Xbox. It's unclear how many of these young people are actually going to be the next generation's farmers, but Taj told me he's thinking about it. Derek Thomas, for the news, Channel 6.
Thank you, Derek, for that. Developing tonight, a major recall of fireworks made in Indiana just ahead of the 4th of July. Grandma's Fireworks is recalling thousands of units it sold after an 8-year-old boy lost his hand in an accident. The boy and a 12-year-old were playing with a broken Talon rocket sold by Grandma's Fireworks when Ohio police say they lit the rocket and it exploded. Investigators later found the company was selling fireworks that contain more pyrotechnics than allowed by federal regulations. Grandma's Fireworks is based in Union County near the Ohio state line. Still ahead on the Now Indy at 5:30 on RTV6. Keeping students out of trouble is easier said than done. The innovative approach one school district is now taking. But first, here at 5, the punishment for a man who drove his car into a crowd of people during a protest in Charlottesville, Virginia. And then about 2 weeks after a tornado ripped through Beech Grove, we are getting a clearer picture of the extensive damage to the high school.
And all eyes on the thermometer. Temperatures all close to 90 degrees in central Indiana. The real warmth sits off to the southwest. We'll talk about rising temperatures coming up.
Only at Zaxby's.
You're watching RTV6 News at 5. Crews are making progress repairing Beech Grove High School after a tornado damaged the building nearly 2 weeks ago. The school district superintendent says the Science Academy and its 3 classrooms are a total loss. The Hornet Enrichment Academy was also destroyed. Classroom and lab equipment are currently being evaluated to determine what can be salvaged and what needs to be replaced. A final damage estimate won't be available until school officials and insurance adjusters finish their work, but insurance should cover most costs. An EF1 tornado with wind speeds estimated by the National Weather Service at 100 miles per hour carved a damaged path 200 yards wide over the school grounds on June 15th. One of the state's fastest growing counties now has more jail space, all because of a $13.5 million expansion. The Hamilton County Jail in Noblesville has added 120 beds to its facility because of the expansion. The Hamilton County Sheriff's Office says a change in state law in 2016 caused an overcrowding problem at the jail. That law requires lower-level felons to serve their terms in county jails rather than state prisons. The Hamilton County Sheriff says the jail was built 25 years ago to hold 296 inmates. Now the jail is pushing 400 inmates. Inmates will move into the new facility in early July. Indianapolis Animal Care Services needs your help. The shelter has too many cats who need a forever home. IACS says now through the end of the month, all adoptions are free. The shelter is open until 6 p.m. It's located at 2600 South Harding Street on the south side. Life in prison. That is the sentence for a man who you see here who plowed into a crowd of people during a chaotic weekend of protests and violence in Charlottesville, Virginia 2 years ago. ABC's Will Reeve has a look at the new developments tonight.
An avowed white supremacist sentenced to life in prison for hate crimes. In August 2017, Charlottesville, Virginia was consumed by chaos. White nationalists, neo-Nazis, and other groups marching against the removal of a Confederate statue, facing off with counter-protesters. At the height of the tension, James Alex Fields plowed his car through a crowd of demonstrators, killing 32-year-old paralegal and activist Heather Heyer.
Today's sentence makes clear that the Department of Justice will use the full resources of the federal government to prosecute hate-inspired violence wherever it occurs.
Fields pleaded guilty to 29 federal hate crimes in March. In a sentencing memo submitted to the court ahead of today's decision, his lawyers argued the defendant should not spend his entire life in prison because of his age, a traumatic childhood, and a history of mental illness. But a federal judge at the U.S. District Court in Charlottesville sentenced the 22-year-old to the maximum penalty.
Mr. Fields deserved to spend the rest of his life in federal prison. That is an acceptable and appropriate outcome in this case.
The indictment says while violence erupted across Charlottesville, Fields, who had traveled from Ohio, drove around the city until he found a group of racially and ethnically diverse people chanting and carrying signs promoting equality. He then accelerated and drove directly into the crowd, killing Heyer and injuring others.
You don't get to knock my child down and silence that voice without 500 more raising up.
Fields was also convicted of murder at the state level, and prosecutors in that case recommended life in prison as well. Will Reeve, ABC News, New York.
Tonight, a story about a little girl and her brand new heart. Before her first birthday, 4-year-old Talia has had more surgeries than most people have in a lifetime, 23 of them. Now a foundation in Tennessee called Chasing a Dream is making sure she can still lead a normal life as possible despite her medical condition. Almost 3 months ago, this little princess had a heart transplant. This is a monumental development considering Talia has spent most of her life in a hospital room. And with her parents having a newborn on the way at the same time as Talia's transplant, Lori Griffith with Chasing a Dream Foundation stepped in to help. Talia is now one of dozens of sick children receiving hospital care packages, including an iPad.
It's really crucial for the months that she spent in the hospital. She now is able to download learning games, not just cartoons.
With Talia now back home, her journey is far from over. Her new heart may last at least 10 years, and she has to take 22 doses of medicine every day. But Talia will continue to receive support from the foundation.
It's amazing. Doctors even thought that we weren't going to be able to take her home. Even when we think that, things are going bad, she takes a turn for the better.
And that is good to hear, and we hope things continue to get better for little Talia. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory is here now with your Storm Team 6 forecast, and it's been a great day. Warm out there.
Almost to 90. You know, we're on this 90-degree watch.
Yeah.
And we haven't quite made it. So it's kind of an interesting day here. We're all waiting for 6 o'clock. It'll be Derek's last show. You saw his last report during this newscast about the future of farming, and he signed off with the Derek Thomas for the news, Channel 6. So you'll see a look back at all 40 years of his career during the 6 o'clock news. Stay tuned for that. It was a hay day recently at the Gregory household as it was finally dry enough to bale hay, and square bales are all out of the field now, and other farmers getting to work. Now, of course, everything probably planted or decided not to plant some acreage, but as we go forward, this heat is good for the corn. Really start to see that start to pop and grow. Our rain chances are there on Sunday, and then increasing Tuesday and Wednesday as we move toward the 4th of July, a little higher probability for more widespread thunderstorms. Let's talk about the humidity. It's our companion between now and the middle of next week in the very humid category, almost a little tropical feel there. That will drive up our heat index values into the mid-90s, even upper 90s. Everything points toward Monday being the warmest day with an actual temperature of about 91 and a heat index at 97 degrees. If the kids are able to hit the pool this weekend, I'm sure they'll enjoy that. Thunderstorms off to the west. At times we've had the cloud cover from the thunderstorms come into central Indiana, high, thin cirrus clouds, nothing else, and these thunderstorms will not be able to cross the Wabash River. We're not expecting any rain tonight or tomorrow. 93 in Muncie, 89 in Greensburg, temperature in Bedford, 92 down in Lawrence County. Everybody at or above average for this time of year. Say hello to Ellie. Aw, I love the bow. Ellie is relaxing on the family chair there. Temperatures in the upper 80s this evening, slowly fall, but still in the upper 70s as we go to the late overnight hours. Temperatures will stay at 70 or above in most areas. We don't cool off at night. Eventually, we'll crack the 90-degree mark. Temperatures both Saturday and Sunday right at that mark, 89 degrees. Saturday temperatures with a mixture of clouds and maybe some sunshine. Wind out of the southwest ensures that the humidity stays high. Temperatures anywhere in central Indiana around the 90-degree mark. Sunday, the change will be, I'd say, after 1 o'clock Sunday, and notice the yellows here. That's why showing some thunderstorms coming in northwest of Indianapolis late afternoon, and we'll keep our eye on that as we go toward the 4th of July. Chance for thunderstorms Wednesday, the 4th of July itself, with an 87-degree temperature, and then next Friday. That is your summer-like forecast.
Look at that. Going to crack 90.
There you go.
Thanks, Kevin. Well, some of us never want to see a snake anywhere, but this next video shows one of the more frightening places for a snake to pop up. Look at this. A father and son in Kansas City captured some frightening video. Bob Henderson was at the wheel of his Ford pickup, his son Christopher in the passenger seat, and a special guest in the side view mirror there. Look, it was a rat snake. The Hendersons aren't sure where their 5-foot hitchhiker came from. They had been driving for 10 or 15 minutes when the rat snake popped up.
Where'd they go? Oh my God, it's so big! It had to be either under the hood or underneath the car, and it kind of crawled up. On top of the truck? We don't know. I don't know.
Well, this seems like the stuff of nightmares, right? But this snake is not a villain. Animal experts say Western rat snakes are not venomous. They're actually helpful, taking care of rats and mice. The Hendersons eventually shed their visitor with a windshield wiper. Bye. Next on the news at 5, a farewell to legendary RTV6 reporter Derek Thomas on his last day at RTV6. The incredible legacy he's leaving behind.
And be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
We'll miss him. There's not the like of him, I don't think, ever in this city. He knows the city so well. He does award-winning journalism, 40 years, some 12,000 stories, highest standards, and he's just an honest, great man.
He is. It's a celebration and commitment to excellence in journalism. Today, our colleague, Derek Thomas, is signing off from RTV6 after more than 40 years. On a personal note, Derek is a big sports fan. He loves the Colts and Pacers, but also his hometown Chicago White Sox and the Iowa Hawkeyes, where he went to college. But he's not just a fan. Back in the 80s, he and other channel staffers, members of the Six Pack, would play in a media football game in the RCA Dome after the Colts played. They collected canned food for gleaners before the Colts game, and then the media game followed. Derek vividly remembers one of those games.
one game in particular I remember. Gary Dick was the quarterback for our team, and we were in the huddle, and he said, "Derek, you go long." So he took the snap, I ran down the field, and we connected for a, 60-yard touchdown pass. And I got in the end zone. I spiked the ball in the end zone. And then Gary Dick was running down the field, and he jumped up in the air, and we gave a high five. And someone took several photographs of this, and they sent me pictures of Gary Dick and I giving a high five. It looked like he was about 6 feet off the air, or whether we were both 6 feet off the air, above the ground, and giving a high five.
And that is an amazing snapshot there. It looks amazing. Well, still ahead tonight at 6, the entire news team will have a special surprise for Derek. We'll also take a look at his 40 years of journalism, and Derek will sign off with a live message to you. And up next here on the Now Indy, by nature, churchgoers are usually trusting people. Now scammers are taking advantage of that trust, and they're targeting churches and their congregations. What you need to see to protect yourself. You're watching RTV6.